voice of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is starting to cloud up a little bit, but a really nice day. As I look at the forecast, it looks like around 6 p.m. tonight that some rain will come in. And Honk, if you've heard this before, we're under a severe thunderstorm watch.
Oh,
gosh.
No. We need more rain.
Probably not. Although I say that, I don't know. I just don't want to pick up any more sticks.
Would you say it's looking like South Vietnam?
South Vietnam. Now, we've transitioned into a better looking yard in some places. Not all.
Kelly didn't like that joke.
Well, let's bring him in. Find out what his problem is. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. I had to go out yesterday, and I was thinking of you, George. I had to pick up stick. I actually had to cut up a tree. A big limb had fallen, so I actually had to cut it up. I went down there, and I've been seeing it, and I went down there, and I was like, gosh, this is bigger than I thought. So I had people cutting my yard today, so I had to go out yesterday evening and cut it up.
Do you have like an electric, whatever, chainsaw?
A chainsaw? No,
Yeah.
I don't have an electric.
Okay.
I'm not an electric guy. I'm a gas guy.
Okay, well, bring it over. Got a couple of things that
Come up off the pocket and go buy you one, George. It's okay. Would you know how to use that though?
No. Not really.
You didn't grow up in Fayetteville, huh?
No.
I did. I learned all that stuff. When we didn't have anything to do on the weekends, we would pick up rock. And I was like, why are we picking up rock? Just do it. I don't need to hear no lip. Just do it. Why are we doing this? You know?
I was the city slicker. Tough weekend was the Maxwell house.
Oh, Lord. Every weekend, man, it was. And sometimes on Fridays. If I was off Friday, we'd have to go out to the farm. And we'd have to do that. And like, good gracious.
That's tough.
Billy didn't have any of that. I know. You can tell Billy, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Billy, is that true?
No,
there's no calluses on those hands. I'll promise you that.
No, there's no silver spoon, but I don't know if you'd call us blue collar.
Right.
Somewhere in the middle.
We've not transitioned to that point.
No.
Okay, so did anybody watch Luka Duca last night?
I saw the highlights.
I did not. I saw some highlights too. He 45, didn't he? He scored 45.
Yeah.
George called it.
Wow.
This guy, Nico Harrison, has got to be the dumbest general manager in history. What was he thinking?
I'll give him credit for one thing, though.
He showed up?
Yes. Yeah. He showed face there and got the crap boot out of him.
Oh, my God.
Did he get booed bad?
Yeah. Well, they started breaking out in a chant of fire Nico.
Yeah.
Fire Nico. You know, they kept doing it in the first quarter. And I don't know why he'd have gone to that game.
He let personal stuff come in between that. It seems like. I mean, I don't know anything about what was going on or what happened with that transaction, but it just seems like it got personal, and he allowed it to get the best of him.
Well, that city loves Luka.
Exactly.
And part of the reason is apparently he was really out in the community. You know, you saw stuff in that video of him with little kids, and he's a really likable young guy that you kind of root for. And, you know, first of all, shame on ownership. When Nico came with this idea, ownership should have said, go lock yourself in your office and don't ever come out.
They should have gave him that. Get out of here, dude.
I mean, you know, there's no way Mark Cuban would have made that trade because this guy was the biggest icon in that franchise since Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
And in a city that's got a lot of them, most of them on the football side, couple on the baseball side, this guy had risen, I think it's fair to say, to the level of maybe, I don't know, only Dak Prescott was above him, maybe Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
if
to that level. Yeah, exactly.
And he loved being there too. I mean, you could tell his emotions were pouring out right before the game. They were playing the intro video, but that's where we do start for the update. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call 615-969-4350. Doncic, 45 points. He had 31 at the half. That ties, his 45 points ties a Lakers career high, and the win officially clinched a playoff spot for the Lakers. No playoff spot for the Mavericks. Are they in the hunt? I mean, they're not, they're not.
Hold on. I'll get the answer here in a minute.
But they're in danger of missing.
Because of my vast internet skills, I will have that answer sometime before the end of the show.
But I mean, he was wiping away tears after watching the video on the screen, but didn't affect him emotionally as dropped 45. And as we talked about, had some Fire Nico chants.
Dallas at the moment is in the 10 hole. So they would be in that play-in game kind of stuff. And right now, it's in the West. It is way too early to tell because positions 3 through 8 are still kind of open.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Phoenix got eliminated last night from playoff contention.
Yeah.
So that
Phoenix is a complete waste of money.
Well, that's going to be crazy to see what happens out west in the Western Conference. But it's also going to be crazy to see what happens at the Masters. We've got a leaderboard update. Alone in first place right now, and again, this is early, but Justin Rose at 6 under, Corey Connors and Scotty Scheffler tied at 4 under, Tyrell Hatton at 3 under, Rory McIlroy at 3 under as well. So Scotty Scheffler earlier today had a 40-foot birdie putt on 16.
Wow.
Drilled it. And he's playing on fire. And Kelly, you'd rather play in the early time slots, right, as opposed to the after starting at like 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think so, but they switch it up. I mean, if you start one morning, then you're going to go the afternoon the next day because they try to even it up. But
okay, let me ask you this. If the weather's really good, what difference did it make?
I don't know. Just going out there first is what I would like to do. Like, it's just like when I played football, nobody wants to, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's great when you got the Thursday night games and the Sunday night games, but you have to wait all day long. Everybody wants the 12 o'clock in Central Time or the 1 o'clock in the Eastern Time. Everybody wants that slot because you get up, you get going, you go to the stadium and you go play the game. That's everybody. So I see that in golf too. I would like to get up, get going, not have to think about it all day and then wait till the afternoon to tee off. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty there at the end, you want to be the last tee time because that means you're in contention.
I was watching the coverage this morning, and they get out on the range before the round starts, and they're showing Scheffler, and he's still got an hour and a half before his tee time. It's a little bit different than me showing up 10 minutes, hit a few shots in the range, and then
me showing up when the guys I'm playing with are on the tee, and I'm just now getting there.
That's not good.
So that's
now. Let me say this: whether I show up an hour and a half ahead or right at tee time,
it's not going to help
nobody ever
you.
Seems happy to see me.
Yeah, but it's not going to help you.
Great.
Even if you went out there.
Here's our 34
Even if you practiced
handicap
for an hour before, George, and went out there and did that, it's not going to help your game.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you hit a driver 125 yards.
No,
get in the weight room. Let's go.
That's not true. There's some mechanical flaws. This is not a weight room issue.
Well, you're not looking like Charles Barkley out there, are you?
It's not
It's not-
quite to that level, no.
He's got a little in him, dude. Billy,
There's
he's got a little Charles Barkley swingish.
Jeff Francoeur called it the loop-de-loo. Well, who's the guy? Who's the golfer that had kind of that at the top?
Jim Furyk.
Jim Furyk. So years ago, Jeff said I was Jim Furyk. We had played golf, and I said, why are you saying that? He goes, look it up. And so I did, and I sent him a filthy response back.
Hey, Jim Furyk was one of the purest, straightest hitters on tour ever.
I'm not.
All right, so that's what we got with the Masters. We'll keep you guys updated. But some news out of Knoxville. According to On3 Sports, Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava are in active contract negotiations ahead of this season. It's unclear if the negotiations will impact whether he enters the spring portal. He's apparently seeking a new multi-million-dollar NIL deal just ahead of the portal opening.
So this is what people are really getting sick of, is the public displays of this. For instance, I think it's fair to say that Diego Pavia renegotiated, but smartly, they did it quietly. The fact that this got out doesn't look good.
Yeah, that's kind of irritating to me. Like, is that what we're going to have now in college sports? We're going to be in contract negotiations with a 20-year-old kid. Like, come on, man, what are we doing?
Well, apparently, he's making around $2.4 million per year.
Is that not enough? We don't think for a college kid.
Well, let's say this: other than the toughness he showed in the Ohio State game, he wasn't all that good.
No, I mean, and I think a lot of people are talking about, especially Tennessee fans, are saying, well, DJ Lagway's making more than him. Well, Lagway might be the better quarterback. I mean,
well, but
what does it
he has
matter?
not proven that yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's about winning games.
This is just a bad look, and it allows people to say, I'll go to the game on Saturday, but I don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah. Well, I mean, spring game, orange and white spring game tomorrow. So I don't think that's a coincidence. This dropping the date a couple of days before, not tomorrow, Saturday. My bad. So Saturday is a spring game, and this drops. So not a coincidence. Also, Will Howard believes that he'll someday be a starting NFL quarterback, and that all the pre-draft noise and negativity will be all for naught. He told ESPN.com, "I believe I'm the best quarterback in this class. I think there's unbelievable talent. But if you're going to be a competitor, at the end of the day, you have to have that belief in yourself. And I think that's what helps me get through those adverse times."
Okay, let me try this one. Kelly, is it possible he's right?
You never know how a guy's career is going to turn out. I can remember when we were having all these problems with these Heisman winners that would win the Heisman Trophy in college, but then they can't make the jump to the NFL, like the Andre Wares of the world. Really good player in college, great broadcaster. I love him. I love listening to him. I think he's very knowledgeable, but he just couldn't make that. The pressure was too hyped, and just couldn't make that jump from college to pro. So I don't know. I like Will Howard. I like his size. I like his demeanor as well. You just never know. And you look at me, George, like nobody ever thought I was going to do anything either. I'm a small kid from a small town, and end up starting in the NFL. You just never know how a guy's career is going to go.
Also, Abdul Carter's medical recheck in Indianapolis today showed that the stress reaction in his foot is healing. There's been improvement and no surgery will be needed, according to his agent, Drew Rosenhaus. He also said it should be a non-factor with the teams at this point.
I would pay no attention to anything Drew Rosenhaus puts out there. He's a clown.
You don't like Drew Rosenhaus, George?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you put any stock in anything he puts out there?
I don't put into stock in anything any of them put out there. Not only him, but just any of them. Like they're all it's all a conglomeration between the organizations and the agents and the play. Like nobody, you can't get any truthfulness right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of these news pieces come from agents anyway, and that's where it starts. In college basketball earlier today, Vandy landed a commitment from TCU transfer guard Frankie Collins. He only played in 9 games for the Horned Frogs this past season, averaged 11 per game. He suffered a season-ending injury in the game against Vandy, so didn't play after that. Now he's at Vandy. This is his 4th school in 5 years. He spent 2 seasons at Arizona State, 1 at Michigan, 1 at TCU, and now Vandy. And he'll likely compete with Tyler Tanner there for the starting point guard job, of course, with no Hogard or Grant Huffman with Vandy. So Vandy with a pickup earlier today. Also, High Point head coach Alan Huss is stepping down and will rejoin Greg McDermott's staff at Creighton, where he will be named head coach in waiting eventually. There's no timeline for McDermott to retire. Huss, who's 46 years old, he was McDermott's assistant for 6 years at Creighton before going over to High Point.
You think about, this has been about 10 years ago where we had this big fad of head coaches in waiting. For the record, James Franklin was the head coach in waiting at Maryland. Never happened.
How'd that work out?
I'm just saying, I think this is a deal that I would not go down.
It does feel like it could turn it in a bad direction.
Yeah,
if something happens, I mean, what if somebody comes after Huss and offers him more money? Are they going to match it?
Why do you designate it? To me, it's more problem than it's worth. Now, that's not to say other people wouldn't have a different opinion, but there got to be a point where people stop doing it for a reason.
Also, the NASCAR Cup Series race at Nashville Super Speedway has a new title sponsor. It's familiar to Tennessee, Cracker Barrel. The Cracker Barrel 400 is set for June 1st at 6 o'clock at the 1.3-mile concrete oval track in Lebanon. So, Cracker Barrel 400.
You're very familiar with Cracker Barrel, aren't you, Billy? I'm sure you carry your lovely little date to Cracker Barrel.
No, I think that'd be you. How many Cracker Barrels they have in Fayetteville?
We don't have a Cracker Barrel, man.
Really?
It's not very big down there, big dog.
What's the go-to spot in Fayetteville?
Long John Silver's.
All right, last thing.
The drive-in movie.
Last thing, the Preds coach Andrew Burnett will be back behind the bench when they take on Utah tonight at the Delta Center. So he'd been away from the team, but he's back tonight.
Okay. That it?
Yep.
Okay, after the break, Danny Evans is going to join us. I can see him behind what I think is a Wrigley Field backdrop. Trust me when I tell you that while he thinks he knows where the first question is going, he couldn't be more wrong. Yeah. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Oh, good music to get us going. When it comes to baseball, we have the very best in the business. You cannot do better than Danny Evans, former general manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, thought he knew exactly where we were going today right at the beginning. We're not. That'll be question number 2. Hello, Danny.
Hi, George. And if you keep playing U2, I'm absolutely all in. So let's go.
Okay.
I like it.
It's a beautiful day. So when I hit you with this kind of question, normally you have incredibly thoughtful answers. So here goes. So last night in Dallas, this superstar Luka Doncic makes his return to Big D. And the fans at some point totally furious, pissed off. I get it. I'm not even a Mavs fan. And I'm angry that Luka got traded. And they break out in fire Nico, fire Nico. In your general manager world, do you think you ever came close to anything like this one?
No, never. No, I moved some guys that people were upset. We had the white flag trade in Chicago in 1997 that the fans weren't happy about, that, you know, we won a division title a couple of years later because of that trade. But no, I've never had anything like that, George. And it's not that I was risk averse, because that certainly was never the case. But I didn't do any personnel moves that had an uproar from the fan base or from the media standpoint.
Let's say you would have, just for argument's sake for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Would somewhere where you might have run it up the flagpole, hey, I'm about to do this to get this, would somebody have said, whoa, hold on a minute. We got to get in a room and really talk about this, because this guy is woven into the fabric of our franchise?
George, I did things a little differently, and Kelly, you'll hear this loud and clear. When I was in charge of baseball operations for a team, I got the PR and media relations people involved in everything we did. They were in every discussion. They were in the room as we strategized, as we prepared to announce. So they were in start to finish. So we would talk throughout the process about the why, how, what's the best way to bring this forward. And I always thought, and the fans need to hear this from my standpoint, especially when I was with the Dodgers are a worldwide brand. And I felt it wasn't my team, it was the fans' team. And I had the honor of leading the baseball operations and the franchise itself. So I always did that with respect and recognized that any move I make, the fans don't have to bless it and fully get it. But by talking it through with the media relations and PR people throughout the process, I usually had comments that were articulated and carefully thought through, not to spin it where I was avoiding something, but to fully explain our position in the move. And George, listen, you make deals for players that, the public and the fans don't always agree with. For me, I always wanted them to know why. And I think when I told them why, they appreciated it. But having the media relations people with me at my side all the time, made for really good conversations prior to announcements.
Okay, let me try this one because
Mm-hmm.
you've sat in this seat.
Mm-hmm.
Can this guy ever recover from this move?
I mean, I follow hoops really closely. I love the NBA. I'm a Warriors fan. I love Steph Curry. So I wish I knew Doncic a little bit better. I wish I had some intel. I don't like his whining. He's a whiner when it
He is
comes
the
to the
whiner.
officials. I mean, I don't think he's ever committed a foul in his career. And when he misses a shot, first thing he always does is look to the ref. Whatever happened there, um, caused them to make the decision that this young superstar was not who they wanted to build their franchise around. And one of the things you never want to do as a team official is say anything negative, anything public about one of your athletes, because that's best kept in the clubhouse, in the locker room, within your team. I have been watching it, but not as carefully as I would a baseball guy. But he's going to have a tough time, in that market, but also in the NBA, just because he is the guy that traded Doncic. But at the same time, because there hasn't been a public outpouring as to why, he really is on the defensive. And Kelly, you appreciate, I'm sure, as a player, you never wanted to see your boss saying anything negative about you publicly. It's just
Right.
not a good way to do your business. And I also thought for the future free agents that we were trying to acquire and players we were trying to trade for, I didn't want them to see me as that person where I would, be a piranha and I would be nasty after somebody's gone. So quite frequently I bit my lip and I didn't say anything. And, sometimes I got some nasty response, but I never took off on one of our players because I just didn't operate that way.
Yeah,
Kelly,
and I
feel
don't
free to jump in here.
I don't think you don't ever want to do it public like that. But I think I certainly think time heals everything, and I certainly,
Mm-hmm.
if you win, then this will all be swept under the rug. But you've got to
Mm-hmm.
win, and George, I think you're right. I mean, you're hitting on something right there. If you don't, and you trade this guy that's so beloved in the city, I mean, you got problems, and you're probably going to have a problem getting another job. Because I think, and I said it early in the opening, Danny, I think it went to a deal where it seems like instead of being business, it became a personal issue maybe with
Yeah.
the general manager and with Luka, and he allowed that to overshadow the business side of the deal. You can't get personal in it. You have to look at the business side of it, and I just don't think he did that.
Yeah, and we, the three of us too. I mean, we're not naive in the sports world. Personalities, egos get involved. And George, one of the ways that I have done things in the past is find somebody I trust in the media and get my story out there in regards to the why.
Right.
And people would call that a planted story. I don't believe there's anything nefarious about that. I think it's important that you do that, and when you do, I think the fans appreciate that at least both sides of the equation are coming out. But here's another thing to think about that story, and that is what Kelly just said. If it's personal, I mean, we see what's happening with the Nuggets right now. When the Nuggets fired both their coach and their general manager, but then they never did a public statement, and they hid behind a written statement and forced the head coach, the interim head coach, to be the first person. I just think in today's world, you have an obligation to be transparent to your fan base and to the media, because you have the reins to just a gift in the community, and you can't pretend like you've got all the answers and you're not willing to share it, because that's inappropriate and I think it's unprofessional. Sure, it might be uncomfortable, but uncomfortable is the reason you have the title and you get the salary.
So now to number two.
Hmm.
In my baseball life of doing a sports talk show, I have dealt with three people that I absolutely love dealing with. Nick Hunter, that goes without saying. He was woven into the fabric of what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any other way to say it. Before Danny, you started coming on, I had Jason Stark, who I just think is
Great friend
terrific.
of mine.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, and Jason used to hear all this brave stuff you hear. So
Mm-hmm.
the two of you, if you ever run into each other, George is doing the same thing.
We
So
do. He's a great friend of mine.
he wrote a story today, and suddenly I can't find it. Bear with me here for just a second. After a historic drop off, can the Braves offense ever get back to its 2023 form? And he goes through a lot of stuff that doesn't feel very good if you're a fan of that team. It sounds like from something you've told me that you're going to take a different view, and I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, I want to preface it. Jason is one of my best baseball media friends. I love him. I love his family, his wife Lisa, and his son. They're just great people. I haven't read his stuff yet. I've just had a crazy day since about 7 this morning. So I plan on reading it tonight, because I read everything Jason writes and I listen to Starkville. For me, George, and I don't know what he wrote, but he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. He's elite. There's two things that tell me that the Braves are going to be okay in time. The first one is when you're really playing poorly, you look for reasons why. What's going on? Offense is always down in April. I looked a little bit this morning. The major league average is 235 with a 312 on base and a 384 slug. The Braves are below all three of those numbers. Their walk rate is better than the major league average, which is a good sign. Their strikeouts are a little too high. But for me, the first thing I look for is defense. Because if you're a bad defensive club, it is really hard to fix things. Because if the ball's in play, as a really good friend of mine once said, we're in trouble. Well, in this case, the Braves have made 3 errors all year. No fielding errors, 3 throwing errors. So for me, that's a good sign that they can fix this. The other thing that is a really big deal, this time of the year, numbers tend to skew. It's funky, the kind of batting averages you can have after 2 and 3 weeks. They're not legitimate. They're just a compilation of plate appearances. And I always feel until a guy gets about 100 to 200 plate appearances, it's real hard. But for me, the barrel rate, the hard hit rate is a big deal. I was doing a little homework last night, and here's Olson, one of the best hitters in the game. His barrel rate is outstanding. It's the best of his career right now. He's 15th in baseball. Yet he's got numbers that, you look at and you go 211, 375, 368, and 1 bomb. That's not good enough. That tells me it's going to come. His BABIP, which is a really great stat, which is batting average balls in play, is well below the league average. So Olson's going to hit. There's no doubt. Riley is one of the best players in the game. He's a terrific hitter. His walk rate is 4% right now, and his strikeout rate is obscenely higher than usual at 35.4. Those numbers are going to change. They just will. And in Riley's case, when I looked at it, Riley also has a barrel percentage that is really okay. So I see those 2 guys, and I think they're going to be fine. And I know, I don't work for the club, so I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the team, but I respect who they are. And I look at them, and this club has always hit. Hitting is contagious. Until they get their MVP back, they're in trouble. They lose their left fielder to a really stupid PED move. He's out for 80 games and the postseason. Kelnick has not played well at all. Albies has struggled. And when those things are going on, you wonder when it's going to kick in. Ozuna looks to have good numbers, but he's hit in a lot of good luck. His BABIP is like 420. And when that's the case, that's going to plummet. He's not going to be that same guy. I still like the rotation. I think starting the season with the Padres and the Dodgers, little did we know how great those teams were going to be. But this is without Strider. This is losing Lopez. And I think it's a franchise that has stable people in the dugout and in the front office. And Kelly knows as a player, when the front office panics, the manager panics, there's panic in the clubhouse. This is when you have to lead. Georgia, it's a real big road trip for them. Tampa Bay and Toronto, it's huge, but that's when you usually figure things out. And I'll explain why quickly to the fans if you've got time, George. Can I say it?
Do it.
When you're on the road as a ball club, you've got 3 or 4 days in a row. It's just you in a hotel. And it's a great bonding process. Your family's not with you. You don't have all the distractions that you have at home, all the demands on your time. You're on the road. This is when guys collectively become stronger as a unit. You use the ballpark once or twice for some early hitting. You surround yourself with your teammates, probably have a suite at the hotel, and you bond and you talk about it. Because right now, the players are struggling. They know it. They're not going to say it publicly. But internally, it's like, we need to get going, guys. How are we going to do this? So I think the timing of this road trip is actually ideal with them for them to improve. I think if they were home, you're surrounded by media, friends, neighbors, fans. It's hard to dig out. But when you're on the road for 6 days, nobody gives a darn about you on that road trip. They don't care. In the lobby, they don't care. Well, you go to the park a couple hours earlier. I'm sure, Kelly, you did this. and you talk it through, and then all of a sudden, it's not you against the world. I think, George, do they need pitching? Well, of course they do. Okay. But their pitching hasn't been their problem. They haven't hit. And until they start hitting, their pitching is magnified because they have to allow fewer runs because they're not scoring enough runs. That will come in time. I still think they're a postseason team. I still think they're a second or third wild card club. And I still think they're going to be close to 90 wins. And that's with the start they've had.
Okay, let's do this. Kelly's going to get the next segment. Then we're going to open the phones right at 4 o'clock. There were a group of you a year ago who loved talking to Danny, and I hope that will continue. At 4 o'clock, we will open those lines. Danny Evans, the very best in the business, is on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
Rock and Roll Nashville isn't just a race. It's the best way to experience this iconic city. We're giving you more music, more fun, and more reasons to run with us. Get immersed in music culture and join us for this legendary tour of Nashville.
Unrockandroll.com.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we're back. And as I mentioned earlier, we got the best there is in Danny Evans. A year ago, even though Kelly's not the baseball fan that I am, he comes with interesting stuff that I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Kelly, the floor is yours.
Danny, so last week I was asking you about artificial intelligence in the game. We were talking about balls and strikes, and they used it earlier, and then I guess in the future they're going to think about going to it or whatever. But I want to ask you this. What else artificially intelligent wise? Because we're seeing these torpedo bats with the Yankees, and I was going to ask you last week. Like, it seems like you look at some of those guys, and they've done all these swing deals with them, and they learn where they hit most of the balls, and they put the centerpiece where they hit the ball. So is that where the game, do you think, is going with all this artificial intelligence, and how much more of that? Because you talked about it earlier. Y'all been doing everybody talks about Moneyball, but you were doing that way before about stats and doing things like that. But like, how much more of this stuff is going to be in the game in the future?
Kelly, it's a super question. I'll give you an example. In Sabre, we had an organization-wide membership meeting last night about the torpedo bats, and we saw one of them just earlier in the slide that was up. Those torpedo bats capitalize on the contact point. And for every hitter, Kelly, guys have longer arms, longer strides, their ability where they stand at the plate. Here's some of the stuff that's going on in 2025 that we know about. We know from a website called Baseball Savant, which I highly recommend to any baseball fans. For me, it's phenomenal. We can see where hitters hit in the box compared to last year, compared to last week. We can see now contact points of hitters that involves the torpedo bats. So the bat, the stance, where you are in relation to the plate and the batter's box, we can start to do that. One of the most fascinating things that are being done right now, and Kelly, you'll be amazed, and I am like so into it, it's biomechanics. It's showing throwing and running motions, and for that matter, hitting motions. And there's a great group called the ABBS, the American Baseball Biomechanics Society, that literally has figured out biomechanics. The great Jim Andrews in Birmingham has his former lead guy, Glenn Fleissig, as the guy. And every month I learn something new from these guys, and we have paired up with them at Sabre, and as a result, we're learning more about the game than ever before. And that artificial intelligence is making us better decision makers. But also, Kelly, it's giving us more information about why things happen. And, I was in Pittsburgh, I saw some of the torpedo bats. Good pitching gets good hitting out. It's just a little more of an advantage for a hitter using that bat, but the pitchers have all the advantages in today's analytic world. So it's time that the hitters, didn't have to swim upstream quite as much.
So let me ask you this. With all the artificial intelligence, and it's a human game. It's a human game, and it always will be a human game. But you don't think we'll ever see the day where they won't have umps on the field? That's certainly not. Would you don't think that?
No, it'll never happen.
Okay.
They're too much a fabric of the game. And even, Kelly, when they implement the computer balls and strikes, the home plate umpire will still call about 95% of the pitches. He'll be overruled by the computer, by the laser technology, but he'll be there to call fair and foul, out and safe, all the things that an umpire does. And I think what we've learned, and Kelly, you know this from playing the NFL, these officials are great. I mean, they're truly great. And what instant replay has taught us in the last 10 to 20 years is they're right more than we think. Frequently our heart makes the call and our eyes take a little time off. And it always is the case with the teams I love. It's like, oh, come on. And then you watch the
Yeah.
replay and you go, yeah, okay, he was right. Good call.
Yeah, and you watch that box up there when them calling balls and strikes. It's amazing how good they are. I mean, that thing can be barely off the box and it's a ball. It can be barely inside and it's a strike. So they've gotten really, really good at that. And I think I asked you this last week, but are the umps the umps are okay with it? I mean, I would think like old school guys would be a little bit hesitant about it, but like these new school guys, I guess they just want to get it right. Are they okay with the new, balls and strike deal?
They are. And Kelly, I know you as a former player respect the officials because they're part of your game. You get to know them, you get to be around them, you know how much they give a darn about the game. I have found umpires to just love the game. They love the game. They're on the road more than the teams are on. They have a nomadic life. They get paid very well to be the best in the world. And I have found the umpires to be not only supportive, but transparent that, hey, it just makes us more accountable. It makes us better. I think what they do is so exceptionally hard. And what they've proven in the last few years is they're even better than we thought they were. And now they're even doing a better job on the edges of the strike zone, Kelly. There was a study a couple days ago done by a guy named Jerry Weinstein, who's an elite baseball instructional guy, that actually the umpires have been better at calling balls and strikes in 2025 than ever before. In fact, an Iowa guy a few years ago had a perfect game. So I think what we're seeing is the accountability and the public nature of it. I mean, there's a couple of Twitter sites that review umpires on a daily basis. So it's fascinating, Kelly. The guy coming in, his weak points and his strong points, but he also knows yours. And I think it benefits the game to get it right.
So the last couple of years, we've talked about some really bad baseball organizations, bad teams, and one of them is your former one. And it looks like they've started off struggling again. So I ask you this all the time, but as a general manager, and put your general manager cap back on. When you had the season and the team that you had the year before, and then you come out the next year and everybody's high hopes and think we've got some things fixed, and then we come out and we start the way that we have. How do you keep people in the building positive?
Kelly, I'm so competitive that I could never do what some of these teams have done the last couple of years. When you look at Colorado, you look at the White Sox, they're not doing anything to improve themselves. They talk a good game, but you don't see it. Now, when you go out and you have literally a baseball record number of losses in a 162 game season, I think you have to make some bold statements and change things. The Rockies lost 103 games last year. They did nothing. You look at the Marlins. I just don't respect people who don't try to get better, and I feel for their fans. Now, White Sox fans, I know great because I was there for 20 years. They're going to speak with their feet. The Rockies fans at yesterday's game, oh boy, did they speak with their feet. There couldn't have been 7,000 people in that ballpark. They announced 18, but it's sold tickets, not feet in the ballpark. As a club operator, Kelly, I think if you're bad and you don't try to do things to make your team significantly better, you deserve to have a bad club because you haven't done anything to respect the fan base to try to improve yourself. I cannot imagine going into the season going, oh, this is great. We're as bad as last year. One of my friends just asked me today, do they lose 121 again or do they lose more? Can you imagine that question? I'd be embarrassed if somebody asked me that.
So one quick question here, and I've said this on the show before, but there are, and you just talked about it, you kind of alluded to it, but there are organizations and team owners that they see this as a profit, I'm not making any money kind of deal. They talk about winning, but they really, I'm not saying they don't care about winning, but they want to see a bottom line that makes them money to begin with. Have you ever been with an organization that they talk a good game, but really when it boils down to it, the owner doesn't really care about it. He just wants to make a profit.
Kelly, I'm so lucky. I never affiliated myself with a team like that, nor would I ever. The competitive side of me is just, George knows I am like a grinder when it comes to that. So for me, going somewhere where winning isn't the priority. And Kelly, very honestly, I've had those opportunities in the last 10 to 20 years. And I've just told them point blank, I cannot work for you because winning's not the priority. The other thing, Kelly, is this: fans are really smart and the media is really smart. And you can't put that facade out there and do it. It's impossible to lie to the fans and the media. It just doesn't work. And when you do, it's not the credibility issue, which is obviously horrific. It's just your own words being used against you. They're paralyzing. And I just think for most people, and the two of you are, very seasoned, what it looks like. I can't talk about a club being competitive and then put a non-competitive team on the field and expect to glide by. Not in 2025. I'm going to get somebody to rip on me, and it's well-deserved.
Okay, let's do this. Good Lord, what a couple of segments we have gotten into. Now, like we did a year ago, I want to do a segment of phone calls for Danny because you all love him. Those of you who love baseball, you know how good this guy is. So let's open the lines right now. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Billy, how else can they get to him?
Chat room's open. Danny's open to comments and questions there. You can find it on the YouTube stream just to the right of it. Type your question in. You can do the same on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Probably should have rephrased that. Not how can they get to him? How can they speak to him? If you say that in Dallas right now, that could be dangerous. Okay, your phone calls and stat of the day when we come back on 94.9 The Fan. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
Having Canty and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I will say, if someone called me ma'am, I would be taken aback. I'd be like, ma'am? Ma'am? Excuse me?
So it is an age thing.
I would think so, yeah. I think if you're 50 plus, you're a ma'am.
If you're a guy and you ma'am somebody, that sends a clear message that you ain't checking for them. You could be taken aback by
I'm going to
that.
let you know where we stand.
Yeah.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
This is Jerome from Birmingham, previously from the Paul Feinbaum Show. I was actually conceived the night of the Gators' first national championship in 1996.
Really?
I was born April 4th, 1997.
I believe the national championship was somewhere around January 1st or 2nd, so you were conceived
that night and were born 4 months later?
The Paul Feinbaum Show. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC network.
Previously on Clinton and Friends.
Walrus. Hello, sir. I wrote a rhyme about the show. Let me tell you all about a new show. It's on in the morning with the sun aglow. I'm talking about the trio, Yates, Kane, and Steele. They converse on the radio, keeping it real. It's a great way to start your day. Just turn the dial to hear what they say. And that's my story about Clinton and Friends, where the trip to the water hole never ends.
Clinton and Friends. Weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Mike in Texas, my friend. Big Mike, what you got?
Well, man, Freddie, first of all, my wife just went back in the house and called you my side piece because I've been listening to you for so long.
My side piece.
3 times. And every time I'm listening to you try to get on the phone, and I'm looking at him like, what? I'm home.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're taking your calls for Mr. Baseball, Danny Evans, coming up. But first stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going NBA today. So, Danny, this will be impressive if you get it, and George and Kelly don't. Here we go.
Shut up, Billy.
Since 1984, only one NBA MVP had 0 teammates who were named to All-Star, All-NBA, or All-Defense in the first 10 years of their career. Can you name that MVP? Only one NBA MVP had 0 teammates who were named to All-Star, All-NBA, or All-Defense.
Who the hell would know this?
I mean, what in the world?
This one's
Billy.
pretty
Just for that little comment. Next time I see you, I'm going to choke you.
There it is.
I mean, good gracious.
Go ahead and show it to us.
Oh, Danny, you got one?
Danny's got it.
Oh, well, then let Danny try it.
Is it Tim Duncan?
It is not Tim Duncan.
Well, who
I was
is
going to
it?
say I was going to say Dr. J, but like that's not even close either.
Who we got?
Nikola Jokic.
Oh wow.
Hey guys, he's unbelievable.
He
is good.
I absolutely. I've seen him play a ton when I was living in Colorado. He has such incredible court feel, and he's so unselfish. It's really a treat to watch him play in person.
Yeah.
And last night he was shown holding the whiteboard, drawing up plays for Denver last night. I mean, he was coaching them.
I thought I had that one. I thought Dunk was the guy. I was pretty fired up about that one. But
Man.
no.
Okay. We're into the 4:00 hour officially from our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. Danny Evans is with us until 4:20. And then one last go at it with the college basketball insiders, Lee Fowler, Ron Bargatze. Okay, you ready?
Let's go.
Let's start with Eric on line 1. Eric, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Well, George, let me say this. I'm definitely glad that you brought Danny back. I'm glad for his baseball wisdom and his inside knowledge. I'm just grateful that you have him back.
He's the best.
Oh, yeah. Well, Danny, let me tell you, I tell you what, one of the things, it is most very frustrating and exasperating to be a Cincinnati Reds fan. This is a team that frustrated me to no end last year, the fact that they would have games where it was feast or famine, where they would score a lot of runs, struggle with runs, they'd fall like a bunch of games under 500, then they get 1 or 2 games back to within the 500 mark and could never get over the hump. And I know they've got Terry Francona, and I don't want to panic, but I've just noticed some things already early on this season that frustrates me. You had the game one last week against Texas where they scored 14 runs. Then games 2 and 3, they get shut out 1-0. Then game 1 against Milwaukee, they get shut out 1-0. What are the odds that you have 3 straight games where you get shut out 1-0? Then in the next game against Milwaukee, I guess they were trailing 3-0, heading to either the 8th or 9th inning. They scored 2 runs, but they lose 4 straight 1-run games. Then the next game against Milwaukee, they scored 11 runs. I mean, it was like 34, 35 innings. They didn't score a run. And then against San Francisco, they beat them 1-0 first game, beat them 2-0 in the next game, had a 5-0 lead, 6-1, and then they blew that in extra innings 8-6. It's just, and I don't want to panic because I know it's early, but it's just with this team, it's feast or famine, where they would win games and get lopsided games, or they lose real close games where they can't score. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Do you think it's going to get better? Just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Eric, first of all, thanks a bunch for getting in touch with us again. It's really great to hear from you. One of my Sabre compatriots, Sarah Langs, one of the greatest analytics people in the world, told me that they are the only team in baseball history to have that number of 1-run, 1-0 losses in a row. So, it's a freak thing. It's not going to happen. I know Terry Francona exceptionally well. I worked with him. In fact, myself and Buddy Bell hired him for his first job. So, I know Tito wonderfully well. Terry Francona is going to make that team relevant. He's one of the greatest managers in baseball history, a certain Hall of Famer. Eric, they're going to figure it out. And I think they're going to be in the middle of that central race.
Yeah, I agree with you because I think their pitching is definitely better. Well, George, I'll let you get off and get to some other callers because I know you guys are short amount of time. Good talk to you. Danny, we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Let's go to Tony in Nolensville. Tony, say hello to Danny Evans.
Danny, it's a pleasure. Another year talking to you. We've been doing this now about, 10 years or better. With me
I love
now.
it, Tony.
I know you've been knowing George a long time, so looking forward to another year. I've got a comment and a question. First of all, y'all talking about umpires. Danny, I played sports all my life, and then as I got older, after my playing days of football and all, I went and played Major 1A softball. I played against some of the best teams in the country and around the world, per se. I played against former NFL players, Kelly. A lot of them went into playing softball and played against a lot of MLB players on some teams in softball. And with that background, played just on the big-time level. But then, Danny, after those days were over, I went into umpiring. And y'all were talking about umpiring. Just on softball level, you sure do get a different perspective of the game. You see the game differently. You hear sounds of the game that you don't as a player. It's amazing at the first base calls when you start watching the foot hit the base and listening to the pop of the glove. A lot of people don't know those tricks and the sliding in the second. So I had to touch on that about the umpiring. I've been there, done it, and it's a whole – you really do respect those guys that do it on all levels of baseball and softball. So I wanted to say that. And then my question to you is, it seems to me, and maybe this is just me because I'm getting a little older, but it seems there is already a lot more early season injuries to a lot of players, prominent players, on a lot of teams this year, more so than years past. And I'm seeing this out of many teams, and it's affected my Cubs now that Steele went on the list the other day, along with some others. I'm going to get you to touch on that and just help me if I'm wrong on that. So good. Looking forward to talking to you some more. George, thank you for always having Danny, and thank you for taking my call. See you guys.
Thank you, Tony.
Tony, thank you. There's always injuries, folks. And this time of the year with all the days off, you can play games with the roster and the calendar a little bit and minimize the number of days that a player misses. Freddie Freeman's a great example. I mean, Hall of Famer, one of the best players ever. He's just coming back to the Dodgers because of the days off. He didn't miss as much time as he would in August or September. I don't think there's more injuries. I think we just notice them more this time of the year simply because there's fewer games. And when we tune in, we don't see those players. I think we do a great job monitoring guys. And I do think we're doing a really good job keeping guys on the field.
Let's go down to Thompson Station, Tennessee. Tony, you are up next.
Hey, guys. Enjoy the segment. Eric kind of stole my thunder on the Reds. I was I've been a long-suffering Reds fan, and I was at the 1990 World Series, and it's been kind of a bummer since. But it was good to hear your thoughts on that. So, can you just tell me? I don't want to be repetitive, but is it been ownership problems, GM problems over the years with the Reds? It seems like they're always getting good draft picks, or is it just the small market thing?
Tony, Bob Castellini, the owner of the Reds, is awesome. We would all love to have him over for Thanksgiving dinner. He's just a great guy, cares about his staff, cares about the fans. It's not him. Their general manager, I think Nick Kroll, is terrific. He does really a good job. I love that he went out and did the bold move with Francona. Sometimes clubs just aren't as good as they need to be. But you know what, guys? In that division, you don't have to be great. You got to win 85 to 88, and you win. And I think what you'll see in the next couple of years is a club get way better because of Francona.
Yeah, that's awesome. Could I ask one more just quickly?
Sure.
Do you think the rise of college baseball has hurt MLB? I know for myself, I watch college baseball tremendously until it's over. Then I get into MLB a little bit more. But
yeah,
what are the stats on that? I'm just curious if you know.
Tony, I love college baseball. You know, the draft now is about 70% college, whereas it used to be 50-50. So as a result, more college players are coming into the game through the college route. I think it's great for the game, and I'll tell you why. The pressure, the environment, the expectations, but also you get a more mature, more finished player. So that's a quicker pathway to the big leagues. I embrace the college game. I think it's great for our sport because the excitement of a good college baseball program is something that is almost unmatched anywhere else. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy
Thank
it.
you.
On that college note, I was talking to somebody earlier today, Danny, who covers the college game, and he told me that the composite college bats, obviously the metal bats, had been and have been using the, I don't know if you call it technology, but had been using the same methods as the torpedo bats for the last 3-4 years to make the bats. And I was like, and that's very interesting. The offensive outputs have increased the last 3-4 years. I don't know when that method of redesigning the bats had begun, but I thought that was really interesting that the torpedo bat method had been in the college game already.
Yeah, they're an offspring of the college bat, and great point. And Bill, the thing about it too is all those kids that are playing in the big leagues now, they all use those bats. So for me, I think it's just the evolution of the game and the technology moving with it. But the college game rocks. I mean, you folks in Tennessee are so lucky to have a couple of the best teams in the country on an annual basis and expectations that are high and well deserved. When you've got the Vandy program and the Tennessee program a drive away, if I'm a baseball fan, I'm checking it out because those are great programs.
Let's head over to Smyrna. Frank, you're the final call for Danny Evans.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Danny, it is a pleasure to talk to you again. I, as you know, am the the Nashville area's second biggest Braves fan after George Plaster. I have season tickets in Atlanta. I haven't had a chance to get down there yet this year, but I appreciate earlier what you said about the Braves and kind of renewing my hope that they're going to get this turned around, because last night against the Phillies, well, first of all, I can't stand losing to them, but just watching them not being able to come through, like they have in previous years because they're not hitting. It's just so thank you, Danny, for being the voice of reasoning and restoring my belief in the Braves. What I really called to talk about was the Tampa Bay Rays. I live in Sarasota, Florida, part-time. And
love it. Spent a lot of my life there.
It's beautiful down there. I love it too. And spring training is so neat. And I went, I guess it was last week, I forget what day it was, to an afternoon game at the Yankees complex where Paul Skeens was pitching. And I got to talking to some of the fans there inside the ballpark about the Rays and what ultimately was going to happen. And a lot of them seem to think down there and are hoping that the owner sells and that they're able to get a ballpark done in the Tampa area. As of now, they're going back to Tropicana Field. The city just apparently approved the money to fix Tropicana Field, and they're going to play there for a few years till they figure out what to do. And then the mayor in St. Pete last week says, well, he said he didn't care to deal with Mr. And I'm going to butcher his name, Stewart. Which, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. But anyway, my question is, what do you think happens ultimately in Tampa to the Rays?
Well, first of all, it's one of the best run organizations in the game. I mean, what they do with their resources is extraordinary. It really is. And they've breeded some great executives that have gone on to be really good with other teams too. I mean, the Dodgers GM is the former Rays GM, so it's a good example. I think the Rays are in a really difficult position. The hurricane destroyed that roof, and as a result, put a real wrench into everything they were doing. I know they're struggling for a new franchise. I think Major League Baseball wants to keep that franchise in Florida. They'll exhaust every possibility, but the problem is they're really struggling right now. They're really lucky that Steinbrenner Field was available, and credit to the Yankees. They've made that a terrific facility for the Rays. I mean, there's been some great stories about it. I think it's going to be one of the difficult things in the last 5 years of this decade. What happens to them and what happens with the Athletics?
It really was neat. What I got to say, I didn't really know what to expect. I thought this for a regular season game, this is going to be weird. But I tell you, it was an enjoyable atmosphere. Now, the weather's also good in Florida right now. It's not overly hot and humid down there right now, but it was a great atmosphere for a weekday afternoon game. It's you knew it was the Yankees' home, but they've made it feel, it's definitely serviceable for the Rays. I was impressed, and I hope they've been drawing fairly well. I mean, all things considered, I hope it continues down there because I want to see the Rays do well. They're my second favorite team after the Braves.
Hey, Frank, enjoy Philippi Creek Oyster Bar on me. Just go have some fun there. That's one of my favorite places in Sarasota.
Danny, I live about, my condo's about 7 minutes from there. I know that place very, very well. Been there by my car.
You talk fresh seafood, boys. Oh, my. Wow.
I love it.
Yes.
Frank.
And Walt's Fish Market up the street is good too, Danny.
Walt's is great for lunch, no question.
Frank, I got to run. Appreciate it.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Danny. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
You're welcome, Frank.
Danny, it's great to talk to you as always. Let's do it again in a week.
I love it. And guys, you know what? I love the calls because you don't know what's coming. They love the game. They love listening to you guys. It's just so much fun to have that. So if we can do that every week, I'd love it. It's so much fun.
Talk to you. Appreciate it.
You got it. See you guys.
Okay, after the break, our final appearance of the basketball season from Lee Fowler and Ron Bargatze, or Bargatze and Fowler. Either way, they're coming up on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, final visit of the college basketball season with the insiders. Coach Ron Bargatze, the foremost authority in Nashville basketball. There he is in the right-hand screen if you're watching by way of podcast. And former NCAA selection chairman Lee Fowler, who, more importantly, was my color announcer at Memphis State. Guys, hope you're doing well.
Hey, George.
Great, George.
I want to throw this narrative out there and see what the two of you think. On one hand, we had a Final Four with 3 games that were absolutely incredible. We've had great TV ratings. And yet there's some people kind of saying, yeah, but the era of upsets is over because the big guy just simply has too much. First of all, do you all believe that? And if you do, is there any way to fix it? Coach B, I'll start with you.
George, I find myself being not as totally interested as I've been for several decades. I don't like the world of NIL and the movement of players, and to me, it's just it's a tragedy of college sports now. So I'm going to be kind of the naysayer here and say I don't care as much as I used to.
Okay, fair enough. Lee, you've watched it from a lot of different angles. What do you think?
Well, I think one year you can't really judge all of it because there weren't many upsets this year. And I think that if you go with the theory you just mentioned, then we sure as heck don't need more teams in the tournament. If we're going to let more in, but only the top ones are good enough to win it, then that kind of destroys that theory. But I'm like Ronnie, I've lost interest. I don't care as much. Most people say it's the gray hair and being old. But, you know, if you think back, George, and I was thinking about this morning, what would Bill Walton been worth in the NIL? What would Kareem been worth in the NIL? And you can go on and on about the players that played, and now all of a sudden in more of a woke and the players deserve to make what they're worth. You know, I think that's great when you get to be a professional, and I guess we've turned college into being a professional because we talk about guys making $3 million, $4 million, $8 million, and the guys that don't play are making $25,000 or $50,000 a year. It took me about 20 years in the business to make that kind of money. So, you know, it's just a crazy world. I'm hoping something gets done about it, but I'm not sure it's going to. I'm not sure we have the old feeling of amateurism has gone out the door, and I don't know if you can ever put it back in the door.
Most of the time when I've watched Houston, I've believed that nobody will out-tough them, and nobody's in better shape. Nobody plays harder than they do. But then I got a dose of reality Monday night where, Coach B, it feels to me like in the end, Florida beat Houston almost at their own game.
Well, Florida had the great advantage in depth. They had 3 or 4 inside players that they could run them in and out. They had 4 perimeter players that they could go in and out with. Whoever's got the best NIL fund has got a chance to dominate or certainly rise above. You know, that's one reason why I think you had less upsets this year, because the have-nots just didn't have the money invested in the kind of players that they had to beat to advance in the tournament.
Lee, did Florida beat Houston kind of at their own game?
Well, I just think they were more talented. I think I would consider a Houston middle-class sort of team, worker bees, came to play every night, really a tough team to beat. And then I look at Florida as having really good skills. And of course, Florida without Will Richardson shooting so well, you know, they shut Clayton down. I think they felt like if they could shut him down, they probably hadn't seen Florida a lot this year, but they have a chance to look at a lot of film. But you have one night to do that because you're concentrating on who you're playing. So I think they probably, and Clayton was willing to give it up to other guys and that sort of stuff. So, but you got to get a shot off at the end of the game. Ronnie, being an ex-coach and myself, and I heard the Houston coach talk about that's the most disappointing thing, that they didn't get a shot off. and that's you can't shoot a very good percentage when you don't shoot it. So that was frustrating at the end of the game. But Florida was very good. Ronnie and I both thought they were a team that could win it all year. Duke getting upset by Houston. I think if those two had played, who knows who would have won, but I think they were the most talented teams in the tournament.
How much, for both of y'all, how much did Duke take out of Houston?
Well, I think they took a good bit because Houston really had to dig deep and go as far as they could go on the bench and have things fall their way. But they were really good down the stretch on the defensive end. Obviously, the looks that Duke got were not very good. I think they had one field goal maybe in the last 10 minutes, and I just think the physical play, and it was very, very difficult to officiate. They can run any officials group they want to out there, but when everything's on the line and you're playing for your life, there were more muggings that were not called than I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree with Ronnie. I mean, I've never seen as physical a game. I mean, if you touch the ball when somebody's going to the basket, you can knock them in the third row, and it's a block. I mean, they don't protect the guy trying to score at all. So and like Ronnie said, the officials, they called everything they'd still be playing. I mean, it's amazing how they both grabbed and especially things going to the bucket. I don't like that. Somebody's going to get really hurt the way they let people attack people at the bucket.
So let me ask this question, and maybe this is me being really naive, but if you get to a college basketball game early enough, about 25 minutes before the game, you will see the captains of both teams meet with the officials at center court. Coach B, I'll kind of start this with you. If the officials turn to those captains and say, listen, I got news for you. This ain't going to be what you've been dealing with. A foul is going to be a foul. And if you don't believe it, watch us at the very beginning. We are not going to have sumo wrestling. If officials did more of that, would it clean it up?
Gosh, I don't know. Once you get the game started, it becomes what it is. And they try to let the players dictate who wins the game. But in the case of the way they were playing so physically, it was kind of like when the price of attrition is a deadly price. And I don't think they could have gone much deeper on their benches than they did.
Lee, would it do any good?
I don't think so, George. I remember the thing that made me the maddest was officials actually during the play telling them, don't do that. You got to stop doing that. If you call fouls, they'll stop doing it. I mean, nothing gets them to stop more than getting a second foul in the first half. But as Ronnie said, it kind of defeats the purpose of the game because you got everybody sitting down, and now you're looking at second teamers playing. So it's a catch-22 for the officials to change that late in the year. But I've never seen it as physical as it was this year. And the officials are going to call about the same number of fouls, whether it's physical or whether it's not physical.
Coach B, I'm going to aim this one at you first. Nobody blames Lenny Acuff for leaving. This was just a match made in heaven for him. Family down there, great school. Everybody's thrilled for him. Now Philip Hutchison has got to come up with a winning hire. Give me 3 names that better be on his list.
Boy, I'd like to have had a little prep on this question because, first of all, my hat's off to Lenny Acuff because he did a great, great job. And he's been a great coach for a long time. And when he went to Lipscomb, he just, he's one of those hires that will never embarrass the school. He'll never embarrass his athletic department. He is a quality person. And I would imagine that he knew he was going to have a hard time getting an NIL fund at Lipscomb, and he may have had a chance to get a pretty decent one at Samford so he could compete. And so, and there may be some other personal reasons too. He's spent most of his life in Alabama and Georgia, and has been on the fringe of Middle Tennessee, but he was a great hire. You look at great hires around this area. 5 years ago, Philip Hutchison kind of made a little stealth move and brought Lenny in out of nowhere, and no one ever really mentioned his name as a possible candidate. There are other guys like that who can be successful, and I think you're going to see Philip do another good job of making an hire. And then, one candidate you have out there is Lenny's former player and former assistant coach, Kevin Carroll, who's at Trevecca, did a fantastic job at Trevecca to bring that program back out of the doldrums. And, he's a logical hire for Philip because they know him. He's been there. And I think that there have been times when Lenny would say to you, if you really pull the truth out of him, that he would highly recommend Kevin to succeed him there. Now, whether or not that happens, who knows?
So if I'm hearing you, it should be Kevin Carroll, end of story.
Well, who knows? Because no one ever really has any guarantees when they make a hire like that. But he is a logical, and he's a good coach and a good person, and fits Lipscomb University to a T.
Lee, you want to throw a name out there?
George, I don't know the names. I know Philip's a great athletic director, and he knew this day was coming at some point. And this year, after you go to the tournament, you definitely get your name out there. And so he'll do a great job. And as you know, George, you're limited to budgets, limited to salaries, limited to NIL. So a guy like Philip does his research and will hire somebody that is an X and O guy. And like Ronnie says, definitely won't embarrass the university, and he'll do a good job. But I don't have any idea who that would be. But I bet Philip has we always had 3 or 4 names in our back pocket. I'm sure Philip does, and good luck to him, and good luck to Lenny. He did a heck of a job at Lipscomb.
Okay, I hear that. Did you truly always have 3 or 4 names?
Well, George, I didn't want to be left out like you, where when you got hired as a color commentator at Memphis, you had to take me. You had no names in your back pocket. But, I always was thinking about who the next guy would be. And now, of course, the problem is that next guy may not have any interest. So I learned as I got longer and longer in my career that you better have somebody that will take the job. And if he'll take the job, then you go try to find a home run. And I had that in football and basketball. And I had guys agree to take the job that I thought would be really good, but fans may not feel that way. So, I went through a 40-day deal with when I hired a basketball coach. I never had that happen to me again, because I knew you've got to have somebody that will take it.
By the way, you made really good money as a color analyst.
There's no question about it, George. I think, was it $200, $300 a game or something?
Oh, it was quite a bit better than that.
Well, George, that was because you had nothing to do with how much I made.
Right. You got all the money, which is why I bolted after a year. Color guys make it too much.
I learned a lot, George. You're a great announcer. I wish you were still doing announcing.
Sure you do. Okay.
I'm open, George.
I'll do my best for you. After the break, Kelly Holcomb will take over. Final meeting of the college basketball insiders for this 24-25 basketball season. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
Rock and Roll Nashville isn't just a race. It's the best way to experience this iconic city. We're giving you more music, more fun, and more reasons to run with us. Get immersed in music culture and join us for this legendary tour of Nashville.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Behind the Fan.
I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I just took a look at the weather, and they're saying right around 6:15, severe thunderstorm warnings in the Nashville area. So if you think you've picked up all the sticks that are humanly possible, maybe not. Not sure.
I hope you have to pick up more sticks tonight, George.
Kelly, thank you so much. What a rousing vote of confidence for stick picking upping. Lee Fowler, Ron Bargatze, the College Basketball Insider's final visit for the 24-25 season. Kelly, what do you got for him?
All right, guys, I want to know y'all's opinions on this because this really rubs me a little bit the wrong way. And George, he can bring himself back up here, but he always talks about gagging or choking. And the other day when Houston came back and beat Duke, George said they gagged it. So do you guys think that they choked in that moment?
Shire did a crappy job with his inbounds passes that nobody ever got open.
Yeah, but you said they gagged it. You did say they gagged it. Okay, so my whole deal is, do you think Duke gagged it, or do you think Houston just started playing better at the end and Duke got cold? Fat Lee.
Well, I coached in that in the Final Four and even the regional finals, and I, as assistant coach, felt like I had a piano on my back. So I know kids do crazy things. I think one of the truest things ever, and Ronnie might disagree or agree with this, but you used to work on out of bounds plays to get the ball in, and you work and work and work, and all of them are to get it to a certain person. And unfortunately, if I had to go back and do it, I said, throw it to the first guy that's open, because there are always open people, but they're trying to, because you beat it in their head about what this play's run for, and they just don't get it in. There are people open there. Tennessee had the same trouble with Houston, and they'd go screen and didn't come back to the ball, and they were wide open if they had. So it's pressure. It's not choking. They had a lot of young players, never been in that situation before. I think when you get ahead like that and have the game won, or feel like you have the game won, sometimes you start thinking ahead instead of keeping your focus. I think that's what happened. Houston got a roll, and the rest was history.
Coach B?
Well, one of the real problems, Houston probably had the type team that would be the most difficult to get the ball inbounds against, because they're so quick and long. And first of all, at least had something that was true. I think sometimes if you don't take that first guy, you can always get the point guard to go back and get the ball, because if you don't get that first guy and you get too selective on who you throw it into, then the 5-second clock is going to get you. So I think the one thing that you'll see a lot of teams do is various ways to get it into the most likely person, unless you have somebody in the game who is a terrible free throw shooter and you try to keep it away from him. But getting the ball to somebody and having the point guard go and get it back is probably the easiest way to get into your offense.
Well, I just know that the other day, and I used the Masters deal. Like, you've got to experience those situations. And Lee, you said it. I mean, Duke had some young guys. I mean, Cooper Flagg, Player of the Year. We get it. They had the Knipple kid. They have younger guys, but like, you've got to be in some of those experiences. Like, when you wake up Sunday morning and you're the last group in the Masters and it's your first time, when you haven't experienced that, it's a little bit difficult. And it's same as when you're playing football, when you're playing basketball, you got to experience some of those. So when people just, when they say that, certain things happen and this guy, it kind of rubs me a little bit sometimes. And I just had to call George out on that. But it does happen. And I felt, like Duke they went cold at the wrong time of the game. That's just what happened.
That ain't it.
How many times did you ever see a Rick Byrd team have trouble getting the ball in bounds? He is one of the great preparers for special situations that we've seen in basketball, and they have and one thing you can do is you can probably change up an inbound play from under the basket. Or against full court pressure, you can change that up pretty easily in one day. But I'll tell you, Houston is the type team. There's no way to simulate how they're going to guard you from your second team. They're so long and quick and aggressive. They are a hard team to even Duke, who seems to always be prepared, had such a hard time. And that happens in late game situations a lot. And so, heck, who knows? Whoever's getting the most money, get them open. They have something to play for.
That's right. Well,
you to get the ball in bounds.
Hey, one thing George didn't realize, some of those guys don't want to get the ball. They don't want to shoot free throws at the other end. They're not going to get open because they don't want it thrown to them. So the more the pressure is, the harder it is to get somebody to step up. And that's the experience part of it, is some guys want it, some guys don't want it.
Okay, so here's another thing. Y'all were talking about officiating, and I think sometimes officiating is really inconsistent, because I saw it at the Lipscomb game, and George was there when they played UNA. The first half, they let those guys just beat on each other. In the second half, they got really ticky-tack. And the other night, I felt kind of the same way. I felt like it looked like that the foul discrepancy in the second half between, like, Florida got a bunch of fouls early, and then I'm thinking to myself, and even Tony Basilio said this the other day, but I'm thinking to myself, well, they're about to even this up, because in the first half they let those guys play. In the second half they got a little bit touchier with that stuff, and I guess that's the way it goes. But, like, if you're calling all these fouls for another team, now you look at it and these guys are like, well, we got to start calling fouls for the other team, and I don't know if I'm a fan of that. Like, call what you see, and I'm just not sure. Like, officiating sometimes is really inconsistent to me, Lee.
Well, as I said, when I was working with them, I didn't think it was. But as soon as you start caring about which team you want to win, it becomes more effective. But, you know, there are flows of the game up and down. And do I not think that official knows that somebody has 10 fouls and another guy has 5 fouls? Yeah, they know that sort of stuff. And human nature may call something you didn't call early in the game. But I think, especially down at the end of the game, they don't want to be the reason somebody won or lost the game. So if things get out of hand, then it's their fault. So they try to get it back in hand. So, you know, Houston fouls on every time you got the ball, they foul you. So they know you can't call them all and aren't going to call them all. And that's to their advantage. And, you know, that's the way the NCAA tournament's always been played, less fouls. And then we hadn't even mentioned this, but a lot of those 80% free throw shooters became 60% free throw shooters. I mean, they were hitting the backboard first, not hitting the rim. I mean, it was crazy. That short arm got them, and, you know, that's from the pressure also.
Coach B?
Not many years ago, there was a youngish type official in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament. And in the end of the game, he made a call on a guy who got fouled on a shot, and he got lambasted by the director of officiating, because he said that you can't make that call. You got to let the players decide the game and not let the officials decide it. Well, that's a crock of you know what. Because I think if a foul is the foul in the first minute, it should be a foul in the last few seconds.
I agree with that. And after this, I'll leave you two alone. But y'all have seen a bunch of Final Fours, and George has already talked about it. We've talked about it on the show a bunch. But where did that rank with y'all? Because those are 3 really good, high IQ, high value basketball, and I'm not sure that it wasn't the best Final Four ever. I'm sure you guys seen better ones, but, like, that was, to me, that was one of the better ones that I've ever seen.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think probably has much talented across the 4 that they've ever been on 4 teams. You've always had a 11 seed, a 10 seed, a 6 seed, a 5 seed there. But these 4 number 1 seeds had the most talent, and I assume they had the best payroll in the tournament also. I don't know that, but I'd say that they probably were close anyway. If they weren't.
Speaking of payrolls, Lee, I think we can't lose sight of what's going on right under our noses here, and that is players leaving programs, players coming to other programs. We've got Jacoby Gillespie leaving Maryland, coming to the University of Tennessee. Tennessee fans are going to really like this guy. He's very, very good. He can score. He can defend. He's a great athlete. We have Carey, who's basically a starter for Vandy, although most of their guys played about the same number of minutes, so that doesn't differentiate that much. But Carey going to Tennessee has a lot of interest from things going on around here. So I didn't care much for the quotes that I heard coming out of that situation. But people get their feelings hurt. Somebody else offers them a lot more money on the NIL deal, and next thing you know, that loyalty switches overnight. And those are the kind of things that really irritate me and makes me wary of basketball as we see it now. I just hate the transfer portal and the combination of transfer portal and the NIL money. because they all work hand in glove, and they rely on each other for that.
Hey, George, speaking of that, they were all in D.C. Yesterday, I think, the 9th. All the commissioners, all the presidents and coaches and all that, trying to get Congress to change the rules, because the NCAA is not going to stop anybody because they think they'll be sued and lose. So they want to start to have a law of what you can and can't do, or they can enforce that, but they can't. They're not going to just enforce something because they think it's the right thing to do. Yeah. And that's where we are in college athletics across the board. And nothing's going to be done until they get some direction. And Lord, if you got to get it out of DC, it may be slow coming.
Not ever come.
Guys, I appreciate both of you this season being willing to come on. Coach B, great as always to have you. Thank you.
Lee and I come as a package deal, and whatever money we get, we're going to split down the middle and give Kelly a little overrun.
I don't think you got a damn dime out of the package deal that Lee got in Memphis. Did you get any of that money?
You know,
I mean, I recruited and coached this guy. I didn't get a penny.
I remember
I put him where he is today.
Hey, back in the good times, Ronnie, I remember getting invited to George's house for dinner after doing this, and of course he didn't. He forgot to defrost the corn, and
about to ask you, did he cook?
No, he didn't cook well. If you call it cooking, he cooked.
George worked overnight getting those cold chicken fingers made up for us.
You know, I hate to do this, but we've got to get a final break. So thank you both. And
Thank you, George. Kelly, take care.
Yes, sir. See y'all. Coach B, see you, brother.
We'll go to our final break. This is Plaster Bet of the Day with kind of a storm headed to Nashville again. This is 94.9 The Fan.
With no credit check and payments as low as $20 a week, why wait to upgrade your home? At Electronic Express, get everything you need, from premium appliances and TVs to gaming systems and more. Whether it's building your dream home theater or updating your kitchen, we make it affordable and easy. With over 40 years in business, trust us for the best selection, service, and guaranteed low prices. Shop online or at any of our 22 locations across Tennessee and Alabama. Electronic Express, for every moment of your day.
Family Leisure invites you to vacation at home with your family with a new spa, pool, patio furniture, or wood play gym this summer.
I really want a spa.
Family Leisure has 40 spas on display from 3 of the biggest brand names: Artesian, Best Spas, and American Select. Prices starting as low as $29.99.
What about above ground pools?
Family Leisure has hundreds of pools in stock and on sale. Guaranteed installation before Memorial Day, starting as low as $29.99. Installed.
Wow, that's great.
If you're looking at a spa, I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has patio furniture from all the big brand names like Hanneman, Woodard, Jensen, and Apricity. There's more than 100 sets on display to choose from with free delivery.
That sounds good to me too. And maybe a new Sabre infrared grill to go with it.
We really should look at the wood play gym for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. It's Family Leisure's vacation at home sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Thursday. We take a look at Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Take a look at what happened last night. The Lakers got a win.
Oh, yeah.
And Luka's return to Big D. So not a bad week.
We got some work to do. And so tonight, we are going with your Atlanta Braves. For one reason, it's certainly not on the offensive end. It's called Spencer Schwellenbach, who, while all this stuff isn't going real well with them at whatever it is, 2-9, he is becoming a stud. He'll get the job done tonight. Kelly?
George, as much as I want to go against you, I'm not a Phillies guy, never have been, so I'm for you tonight.
That a baby. Way to go. Okay, you'll be off tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Mark McGee will join us at 3:25 to talk Preds, and then Cardinal Deep Throat at 4 o'clock with some news that you're going to say, "Are you kidding?"
Oh, wow.
You need to be listening tomorrow or watching or both. This is 94.9 The Fan.